Hey guys, so today's video I'm going to show you a few of the knots that I use on a regular basis around camp. Stay tuned. Okay, so this first one is called the bowline. Here is our tag end. Our running end is running away from us out off this way. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make a loop. Now the way I do this is I usually just twist my index and my thumb, and as you can see, that creates the loop all on its own. So you just twist and it'll create the loop. Now that we have our loop, we want to take our tag end, come up through the bottom of the loop that we created, around the back of our standing end, and then back down through the loop that we created, pulling it tight. That is the bowline. Now you'll know you did it right if your tag end right here lays in line with the loop of the bowline itself. Now you can put a lot of force and a lot of tension on this, and it's really easy to untie. If you see this right here, we'll call that the back of the knot. You just break the back like this, just pop it down, and that will make the knot just come undone. Okay, now a nice easy way to remember how to tie the bowline is you make your loop, you take your tag end becomes the rabbit. The rabbit comes out of its hole, runs around behind the tree, like this, runs around behind the tree, and then back down into his hole. Alright, so this knot is called the Siberian Hitch or the Event Hitch. This is the first knot I will put on a tree when setting up my ridge line. So you want to take your line around the tree like this, leaving yourself a nice tag. You then want to wrap the tag end around your hand, pointing your hand straight to the ground, then straight back up will create you this loop. You then pinch your tag end, pulling a bite through that loop, then you can just slide the whole knot right up against the tree. Now the nice thing about this one is you can do it with gloved hands very easily, and it is also a slippery knot, which I prefer pretty much all of my knots to be slippery, and what that means is you can just pull the tag and the whole thing just comes undone. So I'll show you that one again real quick. Come around your tree. You have both pieces of the line in your hand like this. You want to take your tag end, wrap it around your hand, then pointing that hand down, then straight back up, crossing over both of those lines will create you this loop. You then want to pinch the tag end, pulling it through that loop and tightening down the knot. And again, you just slide the knot right up to the tree and you're done. Okay, so over here we have our evenk on the other end of our line here. We're going to finish setting up our ridge line, and our next knot is going to be called the trucker's hitch. Now what we do is we take our line around the tree just like that. Now out here we want to make a loop. Now it's important that you have your loop going in the right direction, because if you don't, when you pull down on this, the loop will tighten on itself and the cord, and it'll be a bugger to get undone. So you want to make a loop in your line just like this. Fold that loop towards the tree that you're pulling against so that that loop is facing this tree right here, not the one over there. So now all we do is we take the tag end of our cord, we pass it through that loop, pull it down tight. Let me move this up. Pull it down tight. Now right here at that loop, right here, we want to come behind that, pinch it. Now we take a loop over the cord, pulling a bite through that loop, pulling it back towards that knot, and it's set. And now the nice thing about this one again is it's slippery. Now I'll bring you in closer so you get a better view of it. Okay, so we're coming around our tree like this. Now I'm gonna have to make this loop, you know, kind of close to the tree so that you guys can see. But you want to take a loop just like this, lay it towards what you're pulling against, and you want to pull a bite of line up through that loop, just like this. Then you just pull that bite towards the tree and it'll create you this loop. Now through that loop, we want to take our tag end and go through that loop, pulling it down nice and tight. Let me move this cord up the tree here. Okay, so here we are, pulling it down nice and tight. Now I know this isn't tight, but if I pull it super tight, no, I got room. Okay, so we pull it super tight. Now you see this loop right here, this is the loop that you made. Come in behind it with your thumb and your index finger and pinch it. Now you want to take a loop, go over the cord like this, and then pull a bite through that loop. I know you guys can't see anything I'm doing here. Just like that, pulling it back towards that knot. Now, a cool little trick you can do with the trucker's hitch. So here we have our loop. We went through it once. Now if I pull on this and let go, it just slacks right up. I lose all my tension. If I pull, let go, I lose all my tension. Now, if we take this tag end back through this loop a second time, if I can get it with my fingers here, pull it through that loop a second time. Now when we pull on it, it stays. Friction, pretty neat, huh? Pull, and it stays. Now you're still going to want to make your loop like this. Take a bite, lay it over top of the cord, pulling a bite up through that loop that you created, and pull it back towards that knot right there. Alright, so now that one was the trucker's hitch. The trucker's hitch is useful for what I just showed you, for running your ridge line. I also use it when I guy out my tarps. I usually use it more often than not over the taut line hitch. I don't know why, I just do, I just like it. But next, I'll show you that one, the taut line hitch. Okay, so this one's the taut line hitch. This is going to be for your tent stakes. Either you're guying out your tarp or your tent. So you put your stake in the ground, just like this. Then you will take your cord, you'll go around your tent stake, and then you'll see you have both lines running up like this. You want to take your tag end, cross over it like this, creating a loop right here. Now on the inside of this loop, you want to wrap your tag end around once and twice. Slide those loops together, dress it up, make it look nice. Now again with your tag end, you want to go around on the opposite side of the loop this time. I usually just flop it over like this, create this loop right here, then I reach through that loop, pulling a bite of cord through the loop, dress your knot up. That bite of cord right here makes it a slippery knot. So now you have an adjustable tensioning knot. Slide it up to tension, to create more tension I should say, and slide it back to slacken it up. So that is the taut line hitch, and again slippery. We just pull this and the whole knot comes undone. Okay, sticking with our ridge line here, what we're going to tie now is called a Prusik knot. We want to take just a small section of cord like this, and in this case bank line, double it over on itself, and in the end, with the two ends here, just put an overhand knot. Now we'll pull that down tight. Okay, so on our cord here, we've created this loop here. It's a big loop. We just want to take that loop, lay it over the line like this. Now the loop part, we got our knot down here, we got our loop up here. The loop part, just start wrapping it around the line. We'll go 3 times. On the third wrap, take that knotted part and pull it through that loop, pulling it all down nice and tight. And again, dressing the knot so that it's nice and clean. And then we will cinch that up. Now the cool thing about this knot is it'll slide back and forth very easily. But now if I go to pull on it, it'll lock on to our ridge line. But now again, we can just slide it back and forth, and when you go to pull on it, it'll lock itself in place. Now what this is good for is on your ridge line, down here you can put your tarp or whatever. You can run this. This will be the loop on our tarp. We'll run this through that loop. This will be a toggle. We'll then take that toggle and put it on just like this. So now we can tension our tarp on this ridge line and it won't go anywhere. So again, real simple knot. Now if I pull real hard, I can get it to slide because again, this is Zing It and it has that coating on it that makes it slippery. But if I dress this knot down nice and tight, since it is bank line and it's tarred, I can get it to grab. Now I'm pulling really hard on that. Ugh. So a nice knot for your tarps, for tensioning them across your ridge line. Alright, so this one will be called the Marlin Spike Hitch. And in the application I'm going to show you here, it's actually going to combine 2 knots. One I've already shown you, which is the bow line. So I'm going to just tie that real quick. And the second knot will be the Marlin Spike Hitch. Now for our bow line, we're going to go behind the tree and around, pulling all of our line through that knot. And then you'll tighten that down to the tree. Now I'm going to move this up and out of frame, but I just wanted to do it down here so you guys could see it. Okay, so now we got our line just hanging here from the tree. Now let me see, okay, a toggle. Now what we're going to want to do is we again want to make that loop. Now you remember I said the way I like to make a loop is I just twist my thumb and my forefinger on the cord and it makes the loop for me. So you just give it a twist, makes the loop for you. So you got your loop, you will fold that loop over onto the line and you'll see what you have. It kind of looks like a blanket pin. Now you want to pull the middle of that blanket pin creating a loop, which will look like this, sticking your toggle through that loop, pulling it down tight. That is called the Marlin spike hitch. Real quick, real easy knot to do, and I use it for just a ton of things. Now we pulled our toggle out. You can see the knot's still in there. All we got to do is pull it out. It's slippery. Again, I love the slippery knots. I can't pull out in the winter, so I don't want to be trying to fiddle with cold fingers trying to untie knots. So again, we'll make our loop, fold the loop up on itself, pulling a bite through the center of that loop, putting our toggle in, pulling it down tight. Now what this is nice for in this application is here we have our haversack handle right here. We can take this toggle through the entire handle. Now we can hang our gear up off the ground and out of the dirt.